Hi everybody, my name is Linda and I am sitting right now in Bikram, New Haven, a yoga studio here in New Haven, Connecticut, with a fellow yoga practitioner, Francois Franceschi,
Yeah.
who is a very special member of our community here. So Francois is a scientist who has made significant contributions into the work that went into the Nobel Prize in Chemistry this year, and I wanted Francois to talk with us about that some today. So, hello Francois.
Hi, Linda.
How are you?
Okay.
Good. So this work for the Nobel Prize this year involved the structure and function studies of the ribosome. Could you explain a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah, ribosomes are like the protein factory on all living cells. It's like the place where all the proteins, which means all the enzymes and all the proteins you need to live, are synthesized. And the one of the important things about ribosomes too is that the ribosomes of your cells are kind of different of the ribosomes from bacteria. And that means that a lot of the antibiotics that are used in the clinic, they are targeting the ribosome, just exploiting the fact that the ribosomes of bacteria are different, so you can shut down the protein synthesis or the protein factory in bacteria without, say, killing yourself.
So the ribosome is a very large machine in
Yeah.
our cells,
Yeah.
and you've been working on it for pretty much most of your scientific career,
Yes.
would you say?
Yeah.
And back when you first began working on it, and there were people, you yourself included, that wanted to somehow get at the structure of the ribosome to better understand its function, were probably met with a lot of resistance from people who thought it was impossible, that you just were not going to be able to figure out the structure of something so large.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in fact, when I started working on the ribosome, which was a long time ago, it was like 83 or something. At this point, I was not really working on anything related to the structure. We were just working on mostly on biochemistry of the ribosomes and trying to understand what mutants of those things will have as a characteristic. And ribosomes are super complex in the sense that they have, like, depending on the kind of ribosomes, but some like 30 plus different proteins and some molecules of ribosomal RNA. So they are, in comparison to a normal enzyme, they are huge. It's like comparing a tent with a building or something like that. And at that time already there was a couple of people in the institute that had more or less the vision of, like, well, we will really understand how these things work when we have the atomic structure. And one of these persons was Heinz Whitman. He was the director of the institute at that time. And he essentially, together with Ada Yona, one of the persons who won the Nobel Prize this year, started in the 80s, in the beginning of the 80s, in fact a little bit earlier than that, to try to get ribosome crystals. Because when you want to determine a atomic structure, you need crystals. And it's kind of, I mean, when you have something as huge as the ribosome, that is also like completely non-symmetrical and so different, it was already like a long shot to think that you could get crystals out of that, because crystals essentially are nothing else than a collection of ordered particles. So they have to like fit all together, like, you know, like I don't know, say like a Lego block, really nice, and then you get a crystal. But it was kind of, people would say like crystals of ribosomes, forget it. So I would say probably things were still not fully developed in order to really get a structure of a ribosome. I mean, one of also the biggest contributions that Yona did was to come up with the freezing of the crystals, in the sense that you can collect, say, data at room temperature, but then because of the high intensity of the beam, the crystals will be fried in a couple of seconds, so you cannot collect much data. But then by, say, freezing those crystals like in liquid nitrogen or something like that, you can keep them really, really cool, cold, and then collect a lot more data out of a single crystal. So, and so once I took over the lab of Whitman, I of course kept collaborating with Ada. It was a collaboration that we had going on for like 12 years. But at some point, I mean, it was clear that the group of Tom Stites here in Yale University in New Haven was moving very fast towards the same goal. And also another different group of Venki Ramakrishnan in London was also moving towards the same goal. And as I would say a lot of times happen in these kind of races, like everybody, you know, crossed the finish line about the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was 3 different groups working for the same goal that more or less came to the finish line at the same time. And I mean, I would say that that's why they definitely, the 3 of them, deserve the Nobel Prize of Chemistry this year. So.
But it's also nice to see that they come to the same finish line. Like they're getting, you know, their data is consistent. So
Yeah,
that's
there was always a bit of differences here and there and inconsistencies that somehow with the time have been merging and disappearing. And in that sense, I mean, Tom Stites here in Yale University was the first one who published one of the structures at a really high resolution. That was, I mean, really good to help also to move all the rest forward.
So you're now actually working for a company that he started to further this work with the antibiotics in bacterial ribosomes.
Yeah, one of the things that I always had kind of dream with was, okay, how could we use this to help people? I mean, because if you get a new antibiotic that will help some people to fight an infection that is resistant, say, to most non-antibiotics, then this will end up, say, helping real people. Yeah, and it happened that I mean, again, somehow being in the right place at the right time, that there was some people who had also, of course, Tom Stites here in New Haven had thought about that too, and together with some other people that had worked at Pfizer or different companies before, they decided that they wanted to create a small biotech company that will use the ribosome structure to try to produce a new generations of antibiotics that were effective against drug-resistant bacteria.
So you are going to Stockholm in December for the Nobel ceremony. Congratulations, you were invited for that. That'll, I'm sure, be a very exciting and memorable event for you.
Yeah, I mean, it would be really nice to see all the people who did the significant contributions there. And yeah, I mean, they have something called like the Nobel Week or something, which is a week of lectures and you know, banquets and white tie and tails.
Wow.
And concerts and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I mean, it's going to be there. It's going to be really exciting to see all that people, sure.
Wow, like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Yeah.
Like history in the making.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I want to thank you very much for talking with me today.
That's a
And
pleasure.
yeah, and best wishes in Stockholm. Have a wonderful time,
Yeah.
and all the best too with your work in the future. And I want to thank you again so much for all your wonderful work and your passion and your commitment to all these years of doing great things. You're really an inspiration to us all. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So are you taking a yoga class today?
I did at 6 a.m.
You did?
Yeah.
You took the 6
I
a.m.
took the
class?
6 a.m.
Good for
class,
you.
yeah.
See that? He's a great scientist and he gets up for the 6 a.m. yoga class. And if any of you have ever been to that class, you know what an accomplishment that is too. I hope you've enjoyed meeting Francois and hearing what a wonderful contribution he's making to humanity. And
It's a huge group of people doing the contribution.
of course, right. I agree. No, but it's very nice to know that somebody that I'm doing yoga with is involved in such a worthwhile endeavor for mankind. So
Probably research would have been better in Berlin if I would have known yoga at that time.
so it is having a positive impact on you, you would say.
Definitely.
I agree too. So, well, bye for now,
Bye.
everybody. Thank you.